Man, let's get it. We got the second Chris PG-1 short film. Today we got the NBA Old Nigga documentary. Let's get into it. The first case study has to be old Shaq. Now, Shaq was a very interesting study because usually old niggas aren't, physical threats on the floor. However, Shaq being 7'2", pushing 450 pounds, obviously he was a physical threat just to be alive. So, just the physical, fear he put into obviously the opponents, but not only the opponents, also his teammates, really just made this case study a good one. Now, the older Shaq got, you could tell he lost some athleticism, but obviously that is bound to happen. When you're older, you're not the same. You really can't function the same anymore, whether it's, in bed, or whether it's jumping or running. It's just bound to happen, okay? It's just bound to happen, okay? Let me say it one more time, say it with me. It's just bound to happen. Now, I get emotional speaking about Shaq because, he has one of the things I love for an old head. He has the bald nigga attribute. I call it the milk dud. But usually the bald, milk dud category gives you plus 10 attributes in each basketball category. We're going to see later on in this video why I say those things. But, the fact that he still had a bald head and still wasn't the same player really just hurts my soul. Because Father Time is really undefeated. It's really undefeated. You could have plus 10 attributes with a bald head and still not be the same player. And that really hurts my soul, and it honestly makes me emotional. However, to be fair to Shaq, man, he still had the Hall of Fame Big Show badge, which means that he's the biggest, meanest guy on the floor. Also, he had a couple of nice dunks here and there. Yes, he did get 1 inch off the ground, but the ball got into the basket. That's what matters. And one thing I can say, we all should respect this one thing. During his Celtic Shaq days, man, he was just trying to get into shape. We have to respect somebody getting into shape on the floor. Pushing 7'2", pushing 400 pounds. You just had to get your exercise. And I was very proud to watch an old man, playing multiple games, getting exercise, hooping at a very high level, at the highest level in the world. So overall, man, Shaq's a legend. In my opinion, he's top 5 all time. Yes, he might just be number 5, but he's still top 5 to me. Second case study we have is the mad, angry, yapping old head. Now, these old heads will give you a, between 25 to 35% yap attack during the game, after the game. Sometimes in the tunnel, you will run into smoke with these old heads. The first old head we're going to talk about is Udonis Haslem. Now, low-key, high-key, is a level 5 Avengers old head yapping threat. Because I never seen Super happy when he was older. You see here, I get it. You got to be the leader. You got to inflict, maybe just levels of scaredness, responsibility, passion into your teammates. However, outsiders, we see it too. And I just see a yapping old head level 5 Avengers threats. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you. Ever since and every time put his hoodie on, he was mad. So I'm thinking if you just pulled the hoodie off of maybe he wouldn't be as mad. Hear me out. But, obviously that didn't work because later on, without his hoodie, he was still on bad business. Okay. However, to be fair to yapping his team did go to 2 finals while he was giving them yap attack speeches, which really makes me think, wow, he was really just an extension off of Coach Spo. You see here, you got the yapping coach, and then you got one of the best, physicians and technicians and all the nerdy stuff, analytics with Coach Spo. So you got a little good and bad. A little gravy and toast, wings and jam, hot wings and yams, okay? So you really have 2 polar opposites. And I really see why this team might just lose in the finals once again. Because you really need a player who is basically a coach. Not about to give you no points. Not about to give you no rebounds. Might just give you 2 technicals. However, that really will help you win games. Now, obviously, he is now retired, and he is truly missed on the Heat, because now the Heat might not make the finals, but they might not just make the first round now. Okay, so yeah. The second case study of the yapping old head has to be, Jared Dudley. Of course, no relations to the Milk Dud. Jared Dudley, Milk Dud, of course, they sound similar. However, he does not get the plus 10 attributes to each category, even though he has the light chocolate, Milk Dud, probably even closer to white chocolate Milk Dud, but no relation. Now, unlike the other yapping case study of the old heads, Jared Dudley actually had playing time. Honestly, Unk really had more points than yaps and altercations, which is honestly remarkable. However, he still had his moments of the old man rage, and yes, Jared Dudley was in a fair share of fights when he got older in the NBA. Now, even though he was always scrapping, he did win that bubble championship ring with the Lakers in 2020, so that's great news. Unk has a ring. Udonis Haslem has a couple rings. Jared Dudley has one ring, so you need these Unks with the Yapathon badge in order to make the finals, or in Jared Dudley's case, win in the finals. Wow. My next case study just has to be the Flying Milk Dud category. Now, what makes this my personal favorite? We know Milk Duds only usually come in one flavor, medium to dark chocolate. Okay? And in the NBA, the older Milk Duds come in just so many flavors. We got dark chocolate, caramel, we got white chocolate. It really just makes me happy. Now, the Milk Dud flying of the NBA really shows you one thing. Oldness will be defeated by the Milk Duds. The shiny reflection off their top of their noggin gives these guys top 10 attributes to each category. And I mean that. Now, a very interesting scientific discovery I realized. Even when these bald Milk Duds aren't dunking the basketball, they still show their levels of upness. Vince Carter, I mean, wow. Pushing 50 out there, guys. Pushing 50. He was past 40. And I mean, if we take a look at these highlights, man, he was low-key the most explosive player in the NBA. Yeah, faster than LeBron, faster than De'Aaron Fox, more ups than prime Blake Griffin. Vince, old head, Milk Dud, Carter. One of the best players in NBA history in his 40s. Yes, I'm taking prime Vince Carter in his 40s over prime anyone, okay? Because the level of baldness this nigga showed while still being able to hoop really makes him the GOAT. I don't care what you guys say. Now, one thing I will say about the Flying Milk Dud category, I mean, it really has no balance. They're way too overpowered. We might just have to nerf these Milk Duds. Now, usually they kind of nerf themselves with the Milk Dud on Milk Dud crime, and I don't really, partake in enjoying that, so I usually let that slide. But we low-key might just have to nerf these Milk Duds. It's getting out of control, guys, okay? The next case study we have to talk about is the Long-Lasting Old Head category. Now, these old heads just always find a way to make a team and to impact on that said team. For example, Rondo. When this old-ass nigga went to the Lakers, who would have thought he would have had that big of an impact he had on the bubble championship? He was a great player, a great role model, a great passer on that team. Take a look at LeBron. I mean, wow. LeFather is playing with his Lanuts. Now, usually playing with your nut is frowned upon. Now it's celebrated. What a world we live in, right? However, it's amazing. Wow. The fact that LeBron, LeUnc, can even get it up in the air and dunk the basketball really means a lot. What about Chris Paul? Unk Chris Paul, to be exact. He's playing with Wembanyama. One of my favorite players. And wow, he's 100% the best point guard Wemby has ever seen. The levels of impact they still have is amazing. What about old school? Old school old heads, man. Jason Kidd on that Mavericks team, 2011. just played a right part in winning the ring. These old heads will always find a way to just be responsible and enough. I just want to be enough. Many simps say for their girlfriends sometimes, right? I just want to be enough for you, baby. These old heads are enough for their team.